Allred. I represent Alicia Arden. I have also, over a number of years, represented a total of 27. All of the files that it has not yet released to Congress into the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein and those who thousands of pages have been released to the House Oversight Committee as a result of the subpoena which they authorized. That they want transparency and they want to know the whole truth concerning how Jeffrey Epstein and Ms. Maxwell were able. No prosecution of Jeffrey Epstein ever took place in reference to her police report. Announced by the President, and how it may impact the survivor's desire to have all of the
emotionally draining week for me, as I'm sure you all can imagine. But all the files were not released due to the House Oversight Committee, even though the which mention President Mr. Trump. And that same president who told us to clear that many Republicans wanted the vote to release the files and then be released. So, as you can imagine, the events of this last week has completely been the only thing that we really learned from last week is that those in Washington, the victims, myself, of Jeffrey Epstein, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, and victims, I beg you to release these files once and for all. I mean, they've been calling for the files to be released. I mean, this should be my hope is that finally these files will be released. Not vote to be releasing these files, it will be very keeping this information such a secret unless it is to protect themselves. Files, the more we assume that the very politicians who vote to the members of the House vote to release these files so that we can finally
Thank you, Alicia.
welcome.
I would like to begin by thanking the President for urging the Republicans to the public that a vote to release the files is not really necessary. The House Oversight Committee Committee has already all of the files and still could, voluntarily. They did not need a vote in Congress or as a subpoena. The president has not urged the senators to vote to release the files, even if the senators do vote. Has directed the Department of Justice to investigate high-level Democrats who are mentioned Epstein also have their names be released, or will their names be withheld? Should be able to argue selective prosecution, which appears to be political persecution. There are many they have. I look forward to as much justice as is still possible for all. Of the brave is that she recalls the survivors indicating that they would put together their own list have they done that? The answer is each one of them knows. As to the actual release of the names, that would be very dangerous for the survivors to do it. And sued by the person whose name they released, who would then say, you have accused me. Didn't do it, and therefore I have filed a defamation lawsuit against you. that's a danger, and they could be tied up for years in depositions and in that lawsuit. Perhaps it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm not sure, who said that she would release all the names her those names. And then if it comes out that the survivors did, or any of them did, a third party. Okay, thank you. Good, great question. How would they do that? Yes or no?
Un poquito.
Probably not enough.
A little, but probably not enough. A little, un poquito.
But it's a very good one. Okay.
I'll ask, what would you like to see happen?
Reference to the criminal case of Jeffrey Epstein, he's now deceased. And in reference to Ms. Maxwell, the survivors, they've always wanted truth and transparency. They would like to see all of the files released that the department New York in custody, and they'd like to see all the files released from of Todd Blanche, the Deputy Attorney General, who interviewed Ms. Maxwell in prison, compared to other responses she had given in the past that he didn't have in his possession, or the files of the estate. How could a Deputy Attorney General of the United States go in and even interviewing Ms. Maxwell is also very suspicious as well. The criminal investigation of his high-profile Democrats, such as former President Clinton and others. Let the public know any evidence about them. So will they use that as a reason not to? Many and discussions with many survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. Not once has anyone in this political bloodbath trying to get answers. So
Oh, I wanted to get, Ms. Alden, is it okay, are you comfortable sharing a little bit of your story of what happened to you with Jeffrey?
(1997). So if you come back with me, is a different time in 1997, which I thought ads, and I did all these things where, and I was in Playboy, but I was in lingerie, and I somehow got wind of him from a friend of mine that was pursuing him for some type of. He had already want to be in Victoria's Secrets, but my friend Alicia does. And Jeffrey Epstein said, have her call me, and anything else, and anyone else who wants to be in Victoria's Secrets. Which is why, to this day, it makes perfect sense to me now that he was recruiting what we all saw that he did, but I didn't know that that's what he did and became of him.
Where did
So
you meet him?
I ended up in the hotel room with him for what I thought was a Victoria's Secret's lingerie catalog audition.
And which hotel was that?
Shutters in Santa Monica, California. And I wanted so desperately, like any model, to be in Victoria's Secrets. And I know that I could, because I was doing so much other, and I know I could do it, and I know I could be in there based on my beautiful modeling pictures. And so we were there in the hotel room, and he opened the door. He was barefoot in what appeared to be a suite with a kitchen and a whole entire living room. It's very expensive to stay there and be there at Shutters. So he opened the door, and I'll never forget it. He had on a white shirt. It might have been Fila at the time, and black lingerie pants. No, black sweatpants. Sweatpants, not lingerie.
Okay.
Sweatpants and black. Oh no, he was barefoot. So he wanted to see my portfolio, and so it was going well until he said, "Come closer to me, and then I want to start handling you." He asked me to turn around, and normally in an audition you might end up in a bathing suit, and you take off your wrap and you in a bathing suit and you model and turn around, which is legitimate to do that. But then he wanted me to come closer, and he started touching me, and I just couldn't handle it anymore. And he said, "Let me manhandle you," which I've never heard that word, and it's very upsetting because he said that to me. I've never forgotten it. And he wanted to manhandle me and start touching my buttocks, my stomach, my hips and thighs, and my chest, and it just was becoming apparent that I just felt like I was going to just involved in a situation I didn't want to be in. So I wanted to leave. And so I said, "Jeffrey, I'm going to leave." And then he said to me, "I will give you $100. And to this day, it's so hard for me to say, because I said, "I'm not a prostitute. I only want to be in Victoria's Secrets. I only want to be in the catalog." And I didn't take it. I threw it on the table, and because I did not want to go on what all the touching anymore. It was not right. It's not what happens in an audition. So I said, "I'm taking my portfolio and I'm leaving." And I'm leaving. So I left, and he's following me out of the room, and he gave me the $100. And I didn't know really what to do. So I decided to take it, because if you've been a model and actress in LA and you are living in Hollywood, driving to auditions in Santa Monica in LA, it's a lot of gas. So then I did. And I said, "Okay, I'm leaving." And so he followed me to valet parking in the Shutters Hotel. And he got his car, which was a black Mercedes, and then I went out into mine, and I said, "Okay, so I'm leaving." And he just kind of waved and didn't say anything. I think he said, "I'll call you," but I just was so traumatized as to what took place, and him touching me and groping me and telling me he wanted to manhandle me, and I'm in a bra and underwear at this point, because that's what happens. When you're going in for lingerie catalogs, you do have to be in a bra and underwear and a swimsuit to get the job. But I physically thought I was going to get it, and I had no idea that he really wasn't really who he said he was. And then I just felt I needed to leave. I drove right to the Santa Monica Police Department, which is across the street from the Shutters Hotel. So I just felt I needed to do it. And that I'm sure I've put out there before. I don't know if you want me to go into that. That was a whole saga. I went in, and they didn't really want me to file it, and I felt I had to. So they took a little bit. They told me to think about it and come back. Think about it and come back. And so I just really wanted a female police officer, which I ended up not getting. But I did it, and to this day I'm happy that I did. And I said everything in my statement that, he was touching me and groping me and taking my clothes off, as to my clothes are off, but I just felt I needed to get out of there. And I felt I had to file the police report. Because what if he was doing this to other girls? I'm solely in there for, a legitimate audition. And he's already seen my pictures, but I did get a phone call from a woman. And then, when I was in the room, I was crying in front of him a lot because I wanted to get in the catalog so bad. And he was saying, well, you look great in this picture, but then you look really busty. He did say that to me. You look really busty in this picture. And I said, I'm very fit. I'm in fitness magazines. A camera can appear bigger or not. So that's great. And so then he did say that. And then he said, I'll have to see. And then I started crying. And then he did get another phone call on his cell phone in front of me. And I, to this day, I can't prove it, but I think it was Ghislaine Maxwell, allegedly. I think, because they were together in 1997, right? In 1997. And then she got a phone. She called, maybe. He answered the phone, and he said, I have this beautiful girl in front of me, and she's very upset, before I said I had to leave. Mm-hmm. I was crying in front of him because I wanted to desperately get the catalog, the magazine, so badly. And so he said, I have this beautiful girl in front of me, and she's very upset. Okay. And I think it was her, but I can't prove it, but I think it was her.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else? Thank you very much for coming today.